But what is your vision about this podcast? What do you want to create with it?
I definitely want to share our experiences, share our story, the stuff that's coming up for us, what we might be doing differently than as co-founders, that we're making sure we're putting all these things in place for longevity and things like that. And then secondly, I definitely want to dive deeper into exploring things that are coming up in the app for us, things that might, where there's patterns or emotions or different things where we're like, oh, I'm recognizing this, and it ties back to this. Or like when we realized the other day how similar our our journeys were because of what we were talking about in the app. So yeah, that for me is the main thing. And what is our bigger vision?
Mm-hmm.
What about you? What do you think?
Yeah. So just before sharing because I haven't thought about, I'm gonna think about share what's coming up. But I think what you are sharing is that so other founders who are going through this journey, both the co-founder relationship, all the challenges, just loneliness, dealing with ups and downs, all of that, which I would more, I mean, I, as a coach, and I've worked with a lot of founders, so I really have a very, from emotional perspective, I have a lot of example. I don't want to say I have a good understanding of it, but I feel like because I've heard them and I felt them myself, and initially one of the reasons that I went to this journey was I wanted to really feel it. So when I work with people, it's not coming from trying to understand them. It's like something that I felt deeply, so I can really be with them when they're in that. So I think I like that. I can share so much about that, and I talk to my therapist about these things,
Yeah.
and then I've heard it from my people that I work with. And then the second part, yes, I love it because I think we can get feedback. I hope both feedback, also it's a community that's going to get created that we can share, and then they can share
Yep.
this podcast. I think there are small clips from it that can come out that people later on will figure out those.
I mean, this doesn't have to be just us talking through this, There's a lot of potential for bringing on people who are using the app, who are in the same space to talk about, mental health and AI and different things like that, emotional research, all these other things that we're hoping to work on. I see this as being a conversation between you and I, but also the greater, like, space that we're working in and people we're working with and the community we're building.
Yes. So yeah, so I think that, and also it goes back to that community that you shared. Also, yeah, hearing how people using it, because I think a lot of people later on can come up with different ways and the stories to hear that, oh, I use this for this, or it helped me figure it out. I think that's such a good place to get those stories, and within this because both, yeah, because then we can share with other people that these are all the ways that you can use it. I feel like there's so many potential ways to use this that we don't know.
Yep.
And this will give us the opportunity to have a direct conversation and hear from them what they're using. But it all goes back to that community and the movement that we are trying to create, which is about more emotional awareness, more self-awareness, community, and then, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I love it.
Okay.
So we can get it started. So now we can get it started. I just wanted to get more present to that, to be in that being.
Yeah, of course. Hey y'all, we are building Insights Out, an emotional wellness app that allows you to capture insights from therapy, self-reflection, other wellness practices, and be able to visualize patterns over time and also dig deeper into your emotions to build on that self-awareness and resilience. And so I'm Chelsea Barona.
And I'm Nima Imani.
And we're going to be sharing our experience going through this journey as founders and of exploring the app ourselves and digging deeper into our emotional experiences. And we hope that, you'll get something out of it. And please, we'd love to hear, your thoughts and your feedback and issues that you're going through. We're excited to share this space with y'all.
Yes.
I was thinking, I don't know, I was talking to somebody or something, and it's like, they always ask, right? Well, what made you build this, or what made you create this? And for me, I'm like, it kind of just happened. And not to say I haven't, now looking back, I'm like, I have been building towards something of this sort with all the work I've done in community mental health and in working for startups and working with impact organizations. But for me, it was meeting you. That's when this started for me. So I think we should share more about that story and how that happened. And I have my side of it, but I don't know your side of it.
Yeah, I think that would be so cool, because also it's first of all, I'm not good with memories. I think all of us in general, memories change, and it's been a year and a half, so
Yeah.
it would be good to see like what are we remember, and kind of put the pieces together. For me, I don't have a very clear same thing. It happened.
Yeah.
I know initially getting started with this was I was working as a data science solution architect, and I got into coaching. I had gotten into coaching. I was doing it on the side. First, I wanted to become a coach. I knew it's not gonna be like, I was thinking, I'm the tech guy. I'm the guy who studied mathematics and the smart guy. I don't like, this is not my thing. For a long time, I wanted to go back to school to become therapist, but I had almost given up on that. But I knew I liked working with people.
Yeah.
I worked as a teacher in Turkey. I loved it. So I knew like I like working with people. And that's why I got into coaching, to become a better manager, better leader. And then I started to work with some people on the side. I got the taste of it, how much I care, how much I love listening to people, understanding them, feeling them, and how good I am at really, how safe I am for someone to be able to open up. Because I think that's a very important quality in coaching or therapy, to be able to hold a space for someone to share. Anyways, I'm going so much back. Yeah. So I that when we met, I was on a break from my work, and I was trying to decide whether, or maybe I had just quit my job in tech, and I wanted to give the coaching. I was giving coaching a try. But I was very afraid of completely letting go my my whole career that I built in tech and data science. And for two reasons. One is, there is a part of the creative part of me when I'm building, which I think we both have.
Yeah.
When ideas come in, that I always loved it. When I was working in different startups, companies, I always loved that creative side, that ideas come in, and it's very special when things flow. There's an artfulness to it that I really like. And with coaching, I was worried that I'm not gonna be building things, and I want that. The other motivation was, I was afraid of losing my skills, my edge, and I was thinking, what if I need to go back into tech? I need to build things, so in a year or two, when I needed to go back, I'm ready. And I never was worried about ideas, because for me, always ideas were flowing. I never had time to put in it. A few times when I had full time, I helped different people build startups, but that's something that I never had the scarcity of it. But when I started with this journey, first I started building something like a. First I built, and I knew now that I want to build something that is uh, aligned with my bigger purpose. I'm like, okay, now I have the option. I'm just gonna build that. So first I built the kind of meditation app that it does with your ideal voice, generates a meditation, a guided meditation based on whatever is happening at that moment.
It's personalized. To
Yeah,
the context, the
personalized.
moment, person. Yeah.
Yeah, and different kinds. So you could say, hey, I'm dealing with grief about this person, and it would get some data and create a very customized meditation for that. As I built that, and it was for fun. I shared it with a few friends. Then I figured, okay, that's like in coaching or sometimes maybe for therapists, something comes up and this person might want to, let's say I work with my psychoanalyst about my inner child and want to reparent that inner child. And I was thinking some people have such a special relationship with their therapist, and if the therapist tells them that, hey, for the next week, they come up with this action item that, hey, I want to imagine my inner child, or connect to my inner child, for example, or something like about my work, into my strength. But what if the therapist could create a meditation so this person can listen to, and between the sessions kind of work through that? So that was the first step that I was transitioning. At the same time, but it wasn't anything related to Insights Out. But I think that was the early stage that I was kind of looking at the therapy process. At the same time, I had a psychoanalyst which I've been working for 6-7 years, and I was in the process of transitioning from her to a new therapist. And I really wanted to understand what has happened in last few years, because a lot of people were telling me, hey, you've been seeing a therapist for so long, how, like, is it worth it, does it, like, and I know I never had like a very clear, like, yes, these things have changed in my life. I was like, I'm so happy with it, obviously I'm doing it, but it was so hard to tell them like what is working, whether it's worth it or not, or for what reason, because people who haven't been in this journey, it's so hard for them to come fully get it, what it means to work with a therapist. And at the same time, I was so I kind of looked at the notes of my last few years after my therapy sessions, and I was very fascinated that I was thinking so much has changed, but I've been keep working on the same topics. Like I've been talking about the same thing like 5 years ago. I'm like, really? I was thinking about this at this moment.
And how often before that did you actually go back through these notes that you had taken?
Yeah, I never. But on those occasions, I was always surprised that even though I'm thinking I'm just coming up with this new thing, I had it like 5 years ago. Maybe it wasn't as it was from a different angle or didn't have the depth, but it was the same thing. So that was also, I think, another data point that for me, I was like, I need to kind of make sense of this. And that's how I think that was the time that we met. I wanted to understand my process with this therapist for the last few years and put all of them together. And in my memory, I remember start talking to you, and after I hear you studied psychology, so I start to share with you. But yeah, that's as far as I remember.
Yeah, I can pick it up from there.
Yes.
Yeah, so what I remember, I do remember you initially were talking about the meditation, the sort of personalized meditation. And I found that really interesting, but I think then you showed me this, like the other stuff you were doing with mapping those patterns. And that's when I was like, this feels like something that could really make an impact in the mental health space for individuals or for therapists or, and then for coaches as well. And so that's when we kind of, it definitely started off where I was just like, I think just throwing all this stuff I had learned over the last few years from running the nonprofit and from going to grad school for mental health counseling. I was just like, and all this stuff I was now seeing with mental health and tech and how that was starting to evolve and the problems that were coming up, the really exciting things that were coming up in that process. And so I think that was when I was just like, I just started talking. I was just like, these are all the things I could see this happening, this working for. And so, yeah, and it's so interesting because at that point I mean, a bit similar to you, I had been doing marketing and then I had gotten into more into mental health, starting the nonprofit, and that was based on my own personal experiences. And so from there, I was like, I knew I wanted to do more in mental health, and that's when I went to back to grad school, and got my degree. But it was at that point where I was like, I don't know that just working day to day as a therapist is gonna really like fulfill this creative piece, this wanting to build things, just similar to you as well. And so that's when I started exploring what other options there were with that I could still use my degree and this passion that I had in a different way. That's kind of what led me to exploring startups and the tech space a bit. But when we met, I had gotten laid off from that startup that I was working for, and I had started my own business doing marketing for nonprofits. It was satisfying, but it still felt like I was being pulled in these different directions of like, I know I want to work in mental health. And yet I'm still doing all this other work. Well, great. I love working with impact organizations. There was something like an underlying thing missing there. And so I had a few opportunities to work with more mental health driven orgs, and it was just like, this is clear to me. Like, this is really what I want to do. And that's the same time where I decided to go and travel for however long. And so that was I had just gotten to Mexico a week before that, before I met you. I'd just gotten there. My first week in Mexico was so chaotic. Lost my debit card, it was a whole thing. So when I got to Oaxaca, the stress was high. I was like, I didn't know if I would meet any friends or anything like that. And so when we connected, it was like, first off, we connected, and then there was this like just group of y'all who had been hanging out for weeks. You had kept extending your stay, I think. And I was like, what a great group of people. Like, and just like you said, I was like, oh, I feel safe with these people, And so as soon as you mentioned what you were building, I was like, we need to talk. We need to explore this more. So that was all at a very pivotal time in my life. So many things were changing. And I remember I had left Mexico and I went on to the next place. And I remember telling someone, I was like, I think I met somebody who we could potentially work together to build something really incredible. But I'm like, I don't know yet. I'm not getting my hopes up. I'm just like, I think I might have like, so I think this was important, but I can't tell you for sure. So I think it was, I don't remember exactly how it worked after that, but one of us reached out and was like, hey, let's hop on a Zoom call and see what we're up to, see how things are going. And then like, I think you said, oh, I want to show you some more stuff that I've worked on. And every time we met, it was like the excitement kept building, but also the vision kept becoming like even greater and like more impactful. And as things, we just kept getting clearer and clearer on what this could possibly be and how aligned we were. Even though we were in different countries during those times, it still always seemed to align really well. And then it was also there was not a pressure on it to be anything, and yet we kept being drawn to needing or wanting it to be something. And so
Yeah,
yeah.
I think something that I don't remember the details of our initial
Yeah,
conversations in
yeah.
Mexico, but the feeling, I mean, I remember feelings. I think all of us
Yeah.
are like that, and that's one of the reasons that we're interested in feelings. But I remember the feelings that I had was the first that I shared with you in Mexico. First of all, it felt very, you got it right away, and it was very improv. Like, you're like, yes, and this. And I'm like, yeah, and this.
Yes.
And it was very, I mean, a lot of people get excited about this, but with you, it was much more smooth. It was much faster to catch up where I was. And
Yeah.
then your answers were like, either it was something, I think there was usually people that the next answer that they say, I'm like, yes, I thought about this because. And I think I don't remember anything about it. I just remember you said that, but then there were like a couple of things that I'm like, wow, these are brilliant. Like, and this person already, I just shared and caught up with me and just gave me. And then the next day we met, and I quickly worked on those, at least some of those.
Yeah.
I created and I showed it to you. And then again, there were a few other ants. So the same thing happened twice in Mexico that I don't really remember anything, like what was it about. I
Yeah.
remember that feeling. Yeah, so that was, and then later on, anytime we met, even though it was like after 3 months, we met like for a couple times. It had that quality that at least our creative sides, there was an alignment and there was a good, it would work together very well. I think it has maybe the rhythm of it.
Yeah, and I always felt so energized after those conversations.
Yes, and my main concern was, okay, yes, she's brilliant. Our brain works very well together. But that's the misconception. All the founders, a lot of them, people have a lot of ideas, but the
Yeah.
reality is that's like,
Everyone has
are you gonna really do it?
Yep.
Is this, it takes time, it takes energy. It's not easy. It's never easy. I don't know anyone, and everyone says that, but it's really dealing with the challenges. It's a long process. So that time we were meeting. I'm like, yes, she's like very creative, very brilliant. I love it. But then I'm like, okay, that doesn't mean anything. You gotta work with someone to know. And I remember we thought about a different angle for this. We started, but I think we were both traveling, and we never. I think at some point it got to stop. We didn't get to meet and work on it
Yeah.
together. So there was like a pause period on this. And also I was looking at, I started to work on a different startup which was related to this. I started working with two other coaches, like certified coaches. One of them was like head of HR, and we were trying to build more like an executive coach assistant for like corporation. And I thought, okay, this is very helpful for me to understand like how to build conversational AI, and later on it's gonna come handy to this product, and I can use what we're building, the emotions and aha moments for that conversation, because it's so important to look at the emotion patterns in any conversational AI and those aha moments. So I got busy with that project for a few months. And yeah, I think that was till like a few months ago. Then again,
Yeah.
And then I got into an pre-accelerator.
Yes.
It was with Chapman University. Um, it was with Chapman University, and I I had to propose a project to get in, and I again proposed Insights Out, and they liked it. They said yes. I was very discouraged because anyone that I talked to, they were like, "Don't do consumer app, especially first time founder." Yes, of course, it's very cool. So I was like, keep doing the work, but on the side, and some part of me was afraid to go all in myself. Getting into that pre-accelerator with Chapman University was good from the sense that they had a discovery, like teaching how to do discovery. So I did again discovery for
Yeah.
myself. I had some scripts. I think you saw it later,
Mm-hmm.
and I think that the very critical point of that was when I at the demo day when I demoed
Yeah.
and I wasn't ready and my slides were so messy and I almost wanted to not do it. Then I said, okay, let me just do it. And as part of that, which was kind of presentation, I demoed. Instead
Yeah.
of like going through a slide, I'm like, hey, this is how it is. And everyone was like, gave me like, I was so surprised that everyone is clapping and stand up. And one of the judges gave me such a good feedback. The other one said, yes, I love it. Let's, if you wanted to work together. So I think that re-energized me because I got the
Yeah.
feedback from some people who it validated. And that was the point that I'm like, okay, let's just build a consumer app.
Yeah, I think that was when you set up in our next call. You
Yes.
you reached out to me and we hadn't heard from you in a little bit, so I was surprised. And I was like, oh, something's got to be good.
Yeah, yeah. I think that was a very yeah, and I was because of the I, I during that time I talked to so many potential co-founders as well. I was using YC co-founder matching to just connect with other founders because it's kind of lonely and it's nice to see what other people do.
Yep.
I was kind of open to collaborate with other people who are building in this field
Yeah.
because I have this bigger vision, this bigger purpose, and any way we get there to bring more emotional awareness, bring more connection for people, I'm all for that. But something like in YC videos of how to find co-found, and I was listening in during this time. I was like reading a lot, learning
Yeah.
about like this founder journey, and I was coaching founders. I changed my focus of coaching to coach people who are building a startup to learn so much more about it. So for the year, I was just coaching and seeing what are the challenges that these people have, and really feeling it because it's for as a coach it was very refreshing to really go through it myself and feel with them. Yeah, the YC co-founder matching was very interesting because they recommended first go through your network and people you know, because this is not, you might find someone who has perfect skills, but this is such a long road
Yeah.
that in this path, even if your co-founder doesn't have the skills and is not the most qualified, if you guys can stay together, you learn it. You're gonna do so many different things and you're gonna learn through that. But if you know this person, it's much more valuable than just someone that you meet. And always work on some project together first, because then you get the sense of how these people deals with stress, his or her communication style, all of that. So that's the time that we started. I reached out to you and one of the people that I met into co-founder matching to do a trial together for a couple months. And I wanted to be sure, so I said, I'm gonna throw away all of my discoveries and let's just start from zero, do the discovery, see if we can get pointed to the same pain point that I identified. Because at that point, I've seen so many founders that they built the app first without doing the discovery or doing
Yeah.
proper discovery and assuming that this is gonna work and had some traction, but it was stuck.
Yeah.
And it's like it's fascinating how everyone tells everyone, but it's still people first build, because it's so easier to be convinced with our idea and and assume that yes, I know the solution, I know this is correct, instead of being humble and being okay to hear that yes, maybe this idea is not really something that people need or want.
Yep. Yep. Yeah, and I think when you came to me, you you first said, you know, you were like, okay, you told me about the demo day. It was really exciting. I was like, that's amazing. And then you said, you know, what role do you want to play? Do you want to be a co-founder? Do you want to be an advisor? And at that point, I was like, I don't know what any of those entail. But it was just so clear to me that I needed to be all in on this in a way that was possible at that moment. And so, yeah, I think I just said, yeah, I want in. I want to do this. Let's do it. And that's when, we met with the other potential co-founder. And then we really jumped right in. We didn't really, we jumped right into, this is the things that we need to get done. And as we were doing that, there was a lot of exploring, is this working? Having conversations about needing to have more difficult conversations. And through that process, what we found, during that process, that's when I was, for me, I started to see how even though I didn't have experience as a founder, this was something that I was good at, and this was something that I was able to pick up on really quickly around just everything that was happening. But I also felt like, we were doing another pre-accelerator, and it was just, I woke up one morning and I was like, I have to move to San Francisco. We need to be doing this together. And so through that process, we ended up, we didn't end up keeping our third co-founder. She had another opportunity, and but it worked out so well, because that at the same time I was coming to San Francisco, and I couldn't imagine having a third person. Like, everything was happening so quickly with us two here that I couldn't imagine having someone not here in this part of the work, And so I think those things happen as they should, and for us they did. And then being able to find people here in the city that can take on some of the operations, product roles, things like that, has been really helpful for us. But all the while, really knowing that every time we get together in person and work on things, or we're in the same vicinity and we're working on things, I feel like we get 10 times the return, or the moving us forward to whatever the next step of whatever the thing is. So I couldn't imagine having done this all virtually and be as far as we are right now.
Yeah, I completely agree. And I think initially I wasn't aware of this so Sarah is our person we did the trial for third co-founder, and she decided to join another company, and I love the work that she did. She, first of all, with her, the reason that I decided to work with her, or ask her to join as the co-founder, was initially she wasn't as bought in for this idea.
Yeah.
So I told her, but I could see she's very sharp, and I could see she's very good at pushing back.
Yep.
And I was looking for, because it's easy to find people who are excited and want to work with you, but I know if someone who's not fully bought in and is comfortable to voice her objections.
Yeah, it sort of takes out that layer of bias towards the product that we.
Yeah, and I knew, for example, you're passionate about this. Yeah. You love it. But and that's why I said let's do the discovery again, because I told her, hey. So first we met, and then she the second time I met with her, she had like a few other ideas. She said, okay, with
Yep.
this emotion, you can do this.
Yep.
And I said, okay, I'm totally fine. Let's go to do the discovery. If we could prove that we have something here, we build this. Otherwise, we go to the second, third, fourth option. And also, that was very valuable, the work that we did with Sarah, to kind of, without our biases, looking at the discoveries, the interviews, and see, are are we solving a problem that really adds value? Do we have something that really has something to offer for people who are in this journey of uh, mental health or personal growth or reflection, just understanding their inner world. Um, yes, but and initially, because we both have been traveling for so long, working remotely, with Sarah, I was saying, no, I actually, this is perfect. I don't mind it. We
Yep.
can work all remotely.
Yep.
But after you moved here and also like we've been working, I agree, it's just so much faster. The iteration happens so much faster, and the creativity is so much.
And I think there's this city is like nowhere else. You know, like if just going to events or walking down the street, you could potentially meet somebody who might be doing something similar, who can connect you with somebody who's doing something, who wants to try it out and be a part of it. There was no shortage of that here. I mean, I think I laughed when I first got here, and I would walk down the street and everyone was talking about building something. Everyone was talking about AI. You know, it's just like, this is the craziest place I've ever been in my life.
Yeah.
So
Right.
I think the connections we've been able to make since we've been here too have moved it forward in a significant way. But it was so cool to me in the discovery, because I hadn't done with the startup I was working for. We were already kind of past the point of a product, and so I hadn't been in this early discovery phase. But I've done a lot of feedback work, you know, and so I learned a lot during that process from both you and Sarah around building out, like ensuring that the way that we're asking these questions is that we are completely open to whatever comes up out of it. It's so that we can identify if this problem of needing to of those lost insights between therapy sessions, or like not being able to actually see your emotional progress, if that was a problem people were actually having. And being able to talk with people one-on-one about that, and without any real prompting except just basic questions, hearing that the necessity around it, and hearing from them how, like, what would be their magic wand tools, and seeing how that was things we could actually build. You know, the things that they were naming, we either already had built or we could implement it. And now, as we're going through the process of onboarding beta users as well, just it really is like the feedback that people are giving to this app is not in a way where it's all positive. Like, there are things that are coming up that people are like, oh, if it could do this, or you know, I had an issue here. But people are learning things about themselves, and it's happening in like real time as I'm talking to the people using the app. Like, I was talking to someone the other day, and they were saying how it's been really, really cool to do these post reflections in the app after their therapy sessions, because what it would do is it would surface things like, what are the emotions that are coming up, but then it would also validate that they were noticing they were sitting with their emotions more, they were noticing their emotions, and they're like, oh, I can't wait to go to my therapist and tell them that this is working, that, you know, I'm actually putting into play the things that we're working on in therapy. I'm doing that in my life, and now I have a way to have that. Or, you know, someone else is saying how they have been struggling with whether to start fresh and see a new therapist, but they don't want to start over. And it's like, how impactful this could be to be able to capture the insights that are coming up in the work that you're doing. If you do need to start from scratch, you're not really starting from scratch, because the fact of the matter is we never are. We don't have a clear way to capture that, but also to explore deeper.
I love something about this conversation is creating more connection, because we learn also more about each other, and I really appreciate this space to really just talk and
Yeah.
connect and learn more about you. Yeah,
Me too. Me too.
yeah. So I'm very excited.
Me
Like, this
too.
is kind of be the space that we will also really learn more about each other, kind of a co-creative space in a way, because a lot of these things I just just came about. So I love to co-create this with you.
Yeah, I'm really excited. I'm so glad we did this. This was fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Right.
Well, y'all tune in next time.
Yes.